Thank you, Aya. Well, hello and welcome. It's a rainy trading morning right here in Lagos, Nigeria. Let's get to the top stories that set your agenda now. Starting with the oil market, we see oil prices edge higher again, continuing from yesterday's jump there. We see Brent $86.59 a barrel, up 0.39% in early trade today. WTI crude as a U.S. grade, $83.14. That's getting higher. We know this is the grade that the Dangote refinery likes to import at this time. So we've seen prices rising with WTI at this time, 0.45% up. That's what we have. Let's get a check on the FX market now. Let's get a close for yesterday. We see the Naira depreciated by about 3 basis points yesterday. But for the previous trade for NAFEM, 1,505 Naira. That was a close from 1,508, 0.23% jump there. Then for the NAFEX, 1,509 Naira for the close. So there was a trading range yesterday from about 1,400 to 1,500 Naira to the dollar, but we see a 1.84% jump there, and that's for the NAFEX. And for the gross external reserves, that improves slightly by about 0.14%. $34.19 billion. All right, to other stories now. We see the Central Bank of Nigeria has threatened to sanction commercial banks and other authorized Forex dealers that reject the old and small denominations of the US dollar from their customers. According to latest statements released on its website, the financial market regulator says the directive comes after the market intelligence it carried out revealed the continued rejection of affected dollar notes, which it describes as unacceptable. The Apex Bank mentioned that it had been faced with complaints of the rejection of old and low denominations of US dollar deposits in the banks and directs all DMBs and authorized Forex dealers to accept both old series and low denominations of the US dollar bills that are legal tender. And the European Union ambassador to Nigeria, Samuel Sopi, has announced that Nigeria remains the EU's largest trading partner with 35 billion euros in trade last year. At the EU-Nigeria Business Forum, she noted that EU-Nigeria trade relations are valued at 26 billion euros, a third of Nigeria's foreign direct investment, and commended Nigeria for paying over 90% of the 850 million euros to European airlines. Take a listen.
The 9th EU-Nigeria Business Forum has brought together members of the diplomatic corps, Nigeria government officials, members of the private sector, and Nigerians from all walks of life. After years of this partnership, officials see the forum as a time to take stock. How has each partner fared in bilateral relations?
The European Union remains by far Nigeria's largest trading partner, with a total trade last year of 35 billion euros, accounting for about 1/3 of Nigeria's foreign trade, and a balance, and I think we need a round of applause here, of over 10 billion euros in favor of Nigeria.
Reassuring words indeed, but in recent times, issue of relocation of multinational companies to other countries came to the fore at the meeting.
Unfortunately, we are not happy that our brothers, some of them have been leaving. Friends don't leave you when things are not looking good. If truly you are here for our mutual benefit, even in these challenges, you should be able to help us provide solutions.
Government officials, however, insist that there's no cause for alarm. They itemize the present administration's plan to boost trade and investment.
Confronting decades of underinvestment and choices that should have been made but are just being made may come with some social cost and challenges, particularly for those at the lower end of the income strata. And that's why we have instituted, and we are gratified by the support we are receiving from development partners in measures to be able to compensate for those challenges and include those who are otherwise hurt by the reforms we are undertaking.
The EU-Nigeria Business Forum plans to open up dialogue between the public and the private sector, as well as highlight the role of government towards achieving inclusive development. This is just as the European Union promises to invest in the nation's health, agricultural and digital space in the days ahead. Sarah Chimugu, Channels Television News.
And now to our first conversation. Well, maize is the most extensively cultivated food crop in Africa, serving as a primary food source for over 300 million people. However, its production is significantly hindered by drought and insect pests, which adversely affect yields, resulting in crop failures, hunger, and poverty. With support from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, a United States agency for international development, the AATF is spearheading the Tela Maize project. This public-private partnership aims to tackle the challenges of drought and destructive insects, specifically stem borers and fall armyworm. Let's discuss the prospects for this maize variant. Now, joining us for this conversation is Mr. Tunde Banjoko, is MD Banjoko Farms. Join me right here in the studio.
Thank you,
great to have you. Good morning.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, yeah, quite a lot happening with maize, and we see this Tela Maize variant now. See a lot of controversy on this, but let's look at the countries that have adopted Tela Maize at this time. Some of the African countries, mostly Ethiopia, Kenya, Mozambique, Nigeria, South Africa, Tanzania. These countries have adopted this Tela Maize at this point. But what we've been hearing talks about, has enough research been done, about this? It's supposed to be something that was created in a lab, so there might be some risk, health risk, risk to the environment. Talk to us about Tela Maize. Is it the savior they claim it should be?
I think we should look at it from this perspective. There are problems, and then we are trying to bring solutions to those problems.
Right.
Like you rightly said, we don't have enough. And then we are also battling. If you look at some of the countries mentioned, you see that they are having drought issues. So, and this stuff has actually been on for about 10 years. So Tela Maize is not just coming on board. They started with the Wema maize, which is the water, one that you want maize that are drought tolerant. So right. That's why we have countries like Mozambique, Kenya, Ethiopia, Uganda leading. And sometimes around 2019, Nigeria joined the conversation, actually, to also join in the test run. 2021 was when we joined the Tela Maize scheme because climate change became real to everybody. And then since 2021, we've been involved in the research. So it's not just a government thing, like you rightly mentioned, it's a public-private partnership arrangement.
Right.
But I think where the issue is, like you rightly said, I think the gap has been in the communication. That's one. You started it in 2019. How much of awareness do we have? The communication to the public, because you can't just take away what we've known all year round for years. So people are still averse to it. But we are trying to solve a problem of we need something that will drought tolerant, disease resistant, and then we can have better yield. Because this has been proven to have about minimum of 8 tons per hectare. Now we are doing about 2 to 3 tons per hectare.
Right.
So it's more like, is it going to be the silver bullet? No. But I think the communication has been the issue. Then I think there's an issue of trust. Because most of our institutions, can we really trust them? Because we know most of them to compromise on quality and on standard. So I think that's why a lot of people are still struggling to accept this Tela Maize.
Right.
Because we are not sure, are we sure nothing has been compromised in the process? We have the Nigerian department.
Because if we're trying to solve a problem, hope we're not creating a big problem.
Another one. So we all agree that there's a problem. We all agreed we need to prove solutions to the problem. But now the solutions that have been provided, we don't really trust the people that brought it. I think that's where the bulk of the issue is.
Right.
Because we established a department on biotechnology. We have those for biosafety. But are we hearing from them? Do we even know the people behind it and their expertise? I think that's where really the...
We're trying to hear from the biosafety department at this point to see if they've done enough extensive research when it comes to Tela Maize.
The other one I've been on for about 10 years, so maybe we could speak of, okay, what's the success rate? Because some countries also complained that what they've got is an average of 3 tons per hectare, not the 8. So can we, like I was saying, I think on Morning Brief last week, it's not enough to do something on a pilot phase, small scale. 1 plot, 2 plots, and roll it out for commercial. Has it been commercial? I mean, the director was saying sometimes, maybe last week or 2 weeks ago, that it's not been launched. It's only been commercialized.
Okay. What's the difference?
You will have to bring her to explain that it's only been, commercialized, not launched, that they've not really gone into the market. But now, this thing came into Nigeria 2021, officially again 2024. So, but can we see any of these agencies, can they show us where they did 20 hectares, 30 hectares? What they said they did was they did pilot phase in 10 states. 10 states, and then they said average of 3 tons per hectare. So we have to be sure that we've done the right thing.
All right, when it comes to GMO, at this point, there's also this issue of labeling, because you want to be able to make a choice.
Yeah.
Do you want GMO foods or do you want organic?
Yeah.
But in this part, there's a labeling gap.
Yeah.
At this point, so you just take whatever you see in the market. You don't know what the origin. At this point. So talk to me about how this is impacting consumers. At this point, because you don't know which one you're getting. At this point, and the labeling gap. Yeah.
For now, the labeling gap, because when you look at the work they've done so far, they've involved NAFDAC, they've involved the Standard Organization of Nigeria, Quarantine Service. Those are some of the institutions that are involved with this responsibility. So we should be talking to them that, how far with the labeling? Are you enforcing it to be sure that I'm not forced? Because I think it should be an open market, if you ask me. I should have the choice to either go for this or go for the other one. Because we're also talking about the economy of it. That because they can't be replanted like the regular one, like the conventional maize. You have to keep buying your seedlings. So people are also concerned about the economy of it, that what if I can't buy it? What if I need the regular one? So we have to talk to NAFDAC, talk to SUN and other people to just be sure they are all doing what they should be doing.
All right, so in your opinion, where do you think Tela maize was developed?
I think it's in Nigeria, because it was not just for Nigerian market, but Nigeria participated in the development. You understand? Because Nigerian Institute of Agric Research was involved in Zaire. Our, Biotechnology Department was involved. Of course, like you said, Melinda Gates Foundation. And it's not only Nigeria, it's an African thing.
Right.
And South Africa has even been using it for some time now. And I think
so this is in Africa because these countries have drought issues.
They have drought issues, but because we don't have drought issues, it's not looking like what
we don't have drought issues.
We don't have, but the issues we have also, climate change is global.
Right.
So I think that's why Nigeria also came on board, because climate change is global. Then we also, even though drought is not one of our own issues, but we are struggling with armyworm as well. We are also struggling with, the insects. You see people investing so much, and we're also still struggling with the output per hectare.
Because I'm wondering if it's so good, the insects don't want it.
Yeah.
That's the Tela maize.
Yeah.
They don't want to eat it.
No.
But we're going to eat it.
One thing with GMO is the fact that it's targeted. It was brought to address a particular issue, which is the fact that it will address 3 things. 1, droughts. It will address the issue of insects, and it will also bring better yield. So that's maybe, the driving force. And we actually need that, because if you look at what we are buying in Nigeria now today for maize, at about 700,000 per ton.
Right.
And about 3-4 years ago, I buy 70,000, 80,000 per ton. So, meaning there's a clear issue on ground that needs to be solved. But I think the way we now solve it is all we should now. And
how much of maize goes into production of feed for?
Almost 70%, about more.
So
goes into feed.
Livestock will also have to.
No. So we can't. Livestock will have to consume it, and then of course it ends up in our stomach.
So quite interesting. But how are you seeing adoption? How are you seeing adoption? Are farmers, Nigerian farmers, are they embracing?
No. I don't think so, okay. Because people are natural. Like I said, the economy of it, which is if I buy from you now, when I harvest in August and I choose to replant, I still have to come back to buy from you. I can't, like the normal convention, people just take from their harvest, store for the next planting season. But now I have to keep coming back to you. if I want to have the same result. Because even if I choose to plant it directly without coming to you, I'm not going to have the same results. So if I want my result to be consistent, I have to keep coming back to you. So that's one of the areas people are concerned about, that give me a choice. Give me a choice. Let me choose to buy, let me choose not to buy. But with Tela, Maize and any GMOs, you have to keep coming back.
So do you think the target right now is just maize? Are they going to move to other
No,
foods?
we have cotton already. There's cotton, there's cowpea beans. So it's not just only maize. I think people are just talking about that. Maybe that's the one they've been hearing. We have, GMO cottons in Nigeria now. We have cowpea as well, at least those two. But that of maize, because maize cuts across a lot of industries. Right. And then if you look at, even when we're talking about the issue of Russia, Ukraine, maize was also one of the core things, not just, it was this other crop that we were dealing with the other time. So, but maize was one of the core products that we needed at that time. So people are concerned about the source and the sustainability.
Because I noticed, sometime that, because there used to be a time corn had season.
Yeah.
So when it was a season, you see the sellers, the side of the roads, roasting corn, boiling corn, for the public. But now they're there constantly. I don't know if you've noticed that.
They are there, not constantly though.
Because I see corn all season.
You see it more often though, but not all year round.
Not all year round.
Not all year round. But I think why we might have that little progress is because people are doing a bit of irrigation now. So people are doing a bit of irrigation. And some of them are also now even roasting, the other one, not just the
so are some of our sellers, are they roasting Tela Maize at this point?
I'm not sure they can afford it.
They can afford it.
I'm not
sure. So there's also a cost.
But I think we should just, as a country, let's look at the whole system.
Right.
We have a problem, we want to resolve it. Is Tela Maize the only solution? Is importing the solution? Or I think we should look inward and see how we can empower our farmers. Actually, there's a set of farmers that have been neglected in Nigeria, the medium-scale farmers. So we are either bringing policies to say, driving smallholder farmers, 1 hectare, 1 acre, all the time. And then they're not producing enough because they don't have the capacity to produce enough. Right. So you see somebody who has 50 hectares, 100 hectares, we are always leaving that bracket in all of our policies. Looking at it over the past 5-10 years, then for like the anchor borrower was targeting the small farmers, the big corporates. So those guys are the middle, and most of them are closing shop. And that sector we should not neglect. All
right, before I let you go now, talk to me about the Minister of Agriculture right now. Are you seeing any moves from that ministry, when it comes to tackling our food problems?
To be honest, from where I stand, I'm not seeing the move that we need at the moment. I expect more communication from that minister himself, not just maybe Twitter posts, not just Instagram posts. Everybody's not on Twitter. So why are you not engaging? I'm not sure. I've probably been in any conference recently where he's been probably involved speaking. You understand? I'm not sure he's been having any stakeholders engagement. So I think he should be more vocal. It's not enough to have good intentions. Recently I heard that he has good intention. But I think he should be more vocal. Okay. And I think they should be national in their thinking. That's my personal opinion. I think more of their projects have been geared towards the north. Personal opinion, like I said, they should engage across board and look at where each state has comparative advantage and leverage on it. And I think they should also prioritize, like I keep repeating, the issue of Bank of Agric. He should look into it, and let's see how we can help farmers scale up.
Fantastic.
Because if we don't scale up, that's why we're talking about Tela Maize. If we are all scaling up,
we don't need Tela Maize.
We won't need it, but it will be an option. It will be an option.
An option.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Always great having your perspective, Mr. Tunde Banjoko, MD at Banjoko Farms. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ladi, for having me.
All right. We'll take a break now. When we come back, we head straight to the markets. That's the moment. Just stay with us. Welcome back. All right, let's take a look at the best performing top 5 best performing stocks in the first half of 2024, and gains minted. We see Julie PLC there topping the counter, 1,500% gains for the first half of 2024. Geregu Power PLC comes in second, 150%. Veritas Capital, 148%. Julius Berger there, 127.91%. And Dangote Cement comes in at the fifth position, 105% gains. So definitely if you invested in these, you're definitely smiling to the bank because you've outperformed inflation and currency devaluation at this point. Let's bring in Mr. Ayodeji Ebo, who's the MD Optimus by AfriInvest. Great to have you on the show. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Nadi. It's great to be here.
Yeah, so looking at the gains so far from these stocks, quite an incredible first half of 2024. Talk to me about how you can actually identify these kind of stocks before they go up this high, in this market, so you can actually key into the second half of 2024. Talk to me about that.
Okay, thanks. I think the first thing is to look at the sector where those stocks are playing and the activity. So you look at Julie, for instance, what is happening is mostly you see the activity going in that space is really very lean, which means that just a few people are selling within that space, and some people are trying to take particular, maybe sometimes you have people trying to take particular position in some company, maybe based on the expectation to turn around that company. And if you have very few people trying to sell, that's what I would say for Julie Pharmacy, because when you look at the amount, the units that moves the shares is not significant. But when we look at the likes of the Geregu Power, Dangote Cement, so for some of them, it was strategic. You would see for Dangote Cement, for instance, was when they announced the share buyback, was also part of what led to the move that we saw. However, we observed that there's been less activity even in the stock, which is also making it sustain that particular momentum, that level where it stayed, compared to how we used to see volume in and out, and that will lead to the ups and downs in that particular stock. So you look at Geregu too, for instance, the activity within that stock too is also very limited. So, but in identifying most of these stocks, maybe ahead of time, most times it's the strategic positioning of maybe the company trying to look at you have to look at where they play. So you would see Julius Berger, for instance, that major gain that we're also seeing. If you would agree with me that we know that construction is a major area that has picked up, and sometimes you have some strategic investors trying to acquire these stocks even at any level. They want to get a board seat. And when you begin to see week on week, they don't just gain, the maximum amount you can gain in the market is 10%. You will see like Julie Pharmacy, for instance, when it was still at maybe 2 naira, 3 naira, I tracked it, saw it, but you will see that there's no major supply at that level. But when you look at the other four, for those ones, when you begin to see volume or you see them consistently appearing on top peaks for the week, you can begin to ask questions on what is actually happening in those stocks. And when you get the right answer, so that is fundamentally driven, not speculative, because if you go right on speculative, you can also lose your funds. Just like we are talking about top gainers, there are also top losers within that particular half of the year. So by and large, you have to be very close to the market and also look at how policies are also shaping some of these companies and decisions that the management and the board of those companies are making.
All right, going into H2 at this point, what sectors do you think investors should actually be looking at for the second half of 2024 if you're trying to beat inflation, at this point?
Okay, I think one of the attractive sector that investors should look at is the telecommunication sector. yes, we've had, because of the FX losses, the companies within that space, their profitability is being impacted. However, we know that when you look at the revenue top line, when you break it down based on data, voice, the PSB license, it continues to grow, and there continue to be opportunities. So investors, when they see that when prices are a bit low to a level, you buy in, or you begin to buy in tranches and position ahead. It is not when they turn to profit, but that's also what happens. It's not when they turn to the profit level that you now want to buy the stocks. The agri sector too is also an area that we should also look at, that provide prospects. For most of these companies, even with they still sell internally almost 95% of their produce. And if it means that if they even expand, there's still opportunity for them to export. So it needs to grow if there's no major policy shock on them. The banking sector, while there's really activities, now there's a lot of activity going on around capitalization. Investors will need to choose whether they are taking up their rights, whether they are buying in the market, whether they are buying offers, which will also increase outstanding shares. And most times that also will depress prices. But for long-term investors, it's when prices are down that you should begin to take position for the long term. So they will present long-term activity or long-term attractiveness as we progress. So those sectors, the cement sector, we still feel there's potential there, given the construction contract within that space.
Right. So much to unpack there, but I guess the mantra still stands: buy when the market is fearful, and maybe sell when the market is greedy. Thank you so much. Always great having your perspective, Mr. Ayodeji Mabel, who's the MD, Optimus by AfriInvest. Thank you so much. All right, so that's it from me on Business Morning. We'll give you a summary of stock market close later in the day. I'll hand things over now to the Sunrise Daily team.